everyone. My name is Ritesh Oster. Thank you so much for being part of this webinar. I really appreciate this. We are going to continue our HubSpot ABM series, and today is the part 3 of HubSpot series. If you have not watched part 1 and part 2, please go back and watch part 1 and part 2 before you go ahead and watch this particular part. Okay. In part 1, we talked about HubSpot to LinkedIn ad integration. Okay, in part 2, we talked about the ABM Playbook, right? From strategy to execution. That means we actually help you. We talked about how you can set up ABM within HubSpot. So we did the setup, and today we are going to go a little bit more deep dive into ABM workflows. All right, so we're going to talk mostly around ABM workflows, and that is where we are going to wrap this up. I'm going to create more comprehensive webinar around this topic in the coming days, where I'm going to show you step by step. But for the time being, just bear with me, and we'll just continue the series where we left. All right. Okay. So for everybody who do not know me, my name is Ritesh Oster. I run a company called Insight Tab, and I'm also one of the top-rated Fiverr Pro freelancer in the world when it comes to B2B sales, GTM engineering, ABM, and performance marketing. So please do check out my profile if you have not checked it. And I'm running this Thursday webinar series as part of a series in which I impart my knowledge and I just educate in everything that I've learned over the years. Okay. Now with that, let me just drop right into it, the ABM steps and how you can follow up the next step when it comes to account-based marketing. Okay, for everybody who are not aware of what account-based marketing is, please go watch my part 1 webinar in which I've explained it in detail, but I'll just sum it up for you. Account-based marketing is basically for B2B of finding a certain accounts, certain type of accounts, a certain number of accounts or companies, and then finding people working in those companies and trying to create a marketing strategy to reach out to those people. And then that strategy can be multi-channel. For example, you can reach out to those people using ads, using email, SMSs, LinkedIn, Slack, whatever is possible. You can do that, and you do marketing for those accounts. So that's what account-based marketing is all about. And HubSpot has inbuilt features in itself to enable these account-based marketing for you to do this effectively. Okay, all right. Now, so we talked in the previous session, we activated the ABM tools and properties. Okay, we defined the tag and the target account. We segmented the context by buying role, and we also connected the LinkedIn ads and email targeting. Okay, so we have done all of that. We are going to do a little bit more deep dive into segment connection, and we will also talk about how you can launch tailored campaign in HubSpot. Okay, and build workflows to run email marketing, SMS, or even ads for that. Okay, we are now going to cover the ABM metrics. Maybe I'll go through it quickly in the process. If we have time, we will do that. Okay, all right. So this is the detailed step by step. Let me just make it a little bigger. Step by step, nurturing workflow, ABM performance, and notification. Okay, so in the previous session, we talked about how to set up the workflow in the first place. Let me just show that. So we did this setting in our previous webinars. Okay, that means this is the dashboard for ABM in HubSpot, and you can find it. You can go to HubSpot. You can go to target accounts under Sales Hub. Okay, that means you may have a bunch of accounts, bunch of companies. You may have thousands of companies, but suppose you want to target only 20 companies, and you are a sales rep, and you want to target the 20 Fortune 500 companies. to sell your product and services. So in that way, you can choose a certain number of accounts. Okay, so target accounts as they call it. Okay, so these are all the accounts. I mean, these are dummy accounts that I've chosen. And basically, right now, going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to find people within this account, build a list, and then run targeted ads and workflows for these people working for these accounts. It's pretty simple. If I go through all the stuff which is there, we have the ideal customer profile tier. For example, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Okay, if I do tier 1, that I can define the tier. For example, these are the most important customer, next most important customer, and next most important customer, and like so on. So you can define those tiers and put those accounts under those tiers. For example, I have put 4 accounts under tier 1. Okay, so these 4 accounts are under tier 1, and then another 4 accounts on tier 2, and I think the rest of them will go under the tier 3. Okay, or I have marked another 3 under the tier 3. Okay, so it's up to you how you're going to do that. So once you determine that, once you assign those tiers, if you go under the companies, if you go under the companies, so it will start showing up something like this, right? Okay, that means these companies are tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So I have randomly made some companies tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and that's how you are able to see those companies in the dashboard. Okay, and I have marked them target account true. So this is also a very important setting you need to do. If the target account is not true, that means they are not part of account-based marketing. All right. Okay. So if you want to be to make a company part of ABM, you need to mark this as true or include that company in that particular dashboard. So there is a way of including that company in that dashboard as well. So I can, mark this particular company as true. So this company is, Safe App. I just marked it as true. And I think that's pretty much it. It is already saved. And if I go into target accounts, I should be able to see that. If not, it takes a couple of minutes to update, but I think it's already updated. 17 accounts previously, now it is 18 accounts, right? So it has already come up, as you can see. So that's it's pretty simple, right? So once you identify, for example, in your ABM approach, you want to target these 18 companies for this particular quarter to account-based marketing, and that's the goal. Okay, maybe you have certain quota assigned to you as a sales rep, and you have been assigned this particular customer list to do more prospecting. All right. So now the first step is, of course, to set up the accounts. And I've already talked in detail in webinar number 2. So this is how it's going to look like. All right. Now, so the next step is in terms of not creating the workflow. Why do we need to create the workflow? To do the campaign. In HubSpot, in order to do anything, you have to create workflows and sequences and like so. So, I'm so sorry, one of the weather right now, so apologies for that. So you need to create workflows to run ads, to send emails, to send SMSs. In order to do practically anything, you've got to do what HubSpot calls as workflows. Okay. Other than that, if you want to send simple emails, you can send an email. They also have something called as sequences, where you can create a sequence of emails that can be sent within Sales Hub. But workflow is part of automation, which comes under Marketing Hub. So in order to use workflows effectively, you need to have at least Marketing Hub Pro. Okay, so automation is also active in Marketing Hub Starter, but that is pretty basic. You cannot do much with those features. It's pretty basic, and certainly you cannot do much with account-based marketing if you are in Marketing Hub Starter. But if you're in Marketing Hub Pro, then possibly you can do a bunch of stuff. Okay, I am not in this particular account is not under Pro, so I cannot show you a lot, but I can certainly show you the first steps in order for you to do that, and then from there you can take this forward. All right. I've created some dummy workflows as well. I'm going to show you one of them, or possibly I'm going to create a new workflow as well. right, as part of this. All right, so so recapping, we have connected that account, we have activated the ABM account, we have built the match audience in our previous webinars. We have also launched ad campaigns, not fully launched. Okay, we are not launching any ad campaign as part of this particular webinar series, but hopefully in the future, I will actually go ahead and launch an ad campaign live with you guys. Okay, so I'm planning to do that as well. So launch ad campaign, create engagement workflows. This is where we are going to focus mostly today. Step number 5. Okay, that means to create an engagement workflow for alerts, nurturing emails, sales triggers, launch of ads, whatever you can do. Okay, you can do practically multiple stuff with this. So we are at step number 5. Okay, now how to set up the nurturing workflow by buyer? Now, in order to, before we go ahead and create nurturing workflow, you have to understand what is buyer role. Okay, now in order to understand what is buyer role, we'll have to go back to the target accounts. Okay, now let me go back to the target accounts. So I go to sales and I go to target accounts. As I said, we have identified 18 target accounts for our account-based marketing. These are all the companies. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to find the people working for this company and then categorize them based on the buyer. For example, a company can be Microsoft.com, but Microsoft has 250,000 employees. So are you going to target all of them? No. Possibly you're going to target 20 of them, right? Within the Microsoft as an account. So who are those 20 people? What are their roles? Who are they? Are they end users? Are they decision makers? Are they influencers? Are they blockers? You need to identify all of them in order to create the right segment of audience for you to then go ahead and create a marketing campaign. For example, you've got 20 people, and out of the 20 people, 5 of them are decision makers, 2 of them are influencers, 8 of them are end users, and possibly one of them is a blocker. Maybe they will just block you, right, from making any sale. That's a real world scenario. So the idea is to identify all these people, put them into the right category, and then create the right kind of campaign for each of them, personalized to them, and that is where the real magic happens. Okay, so how can we do that? So the first thing that we need to do is, let me just go step by step here. You need to create a role-based, role-specific list. Okay, that means, I'm sorry. Go to CRM contact properties, find default buying role property, decision maker, budget holder, and come from, and assign roles to your contacts either manually or via. Okay. So what you need to do is, long story short, when you activate ABM, this property in contact property automatically populates, what they call as the buyer. Okay. So, and then you can assign the role to that particular contact. Okay, whether it is a decision maker or a budget holder or blocker or influencer, whatever it is, you can assign the role to the contact either manually or via import. Okay, so that's the first step. That's the step number 1. So you need to identify the roles. Okay, now as I can see, for example, this is I'll just take this company, which is a pretty famous company. Okay, so this is the contact, and if I go into the contact, then this is the if I go into the account, I'm sorry, it has got one contact. It can have 100 contacts, it can have 100,000 contacts as well, right? But in my case, there's only one contact in my CRM. Okay, so then I can go ahead and assign a role. So if I click on that, as you can see, I've already assigned a role, right? So I have assigned this person working for this particular contact as champion. I can also mark it as budget holder, the one who's controlling the budget, or or the blocker or the decision maker or the end users, or so there are multiple different categories here: influencers, legal and compliance, and others. Okay, so I've already identified him as a champion, somebody who's like a promoter of our kind of product and service. So I have marked it as champion. I can assign them multiple roles. He can also be a champion as well as decision maker. That can also be the case. And I am the internal. In this case, I am the internal stakeholder. Means from my side, I am the internal stakeholder. And last touch is 2 days ago. Last I had any communication with this person was 2 days ago. So I've assigned it. I can assign it directly from here, or I can even go to that particular record, to that particular contact. Okay, and I can just do that. 1 minute. I can just assign it. Okay, for example, so I can just assign it manually, also going directly to the contacts. All right, so even that I can do. It's up to me, and I can assign it directly here. Sorry. So I can assign it directly from here. So it's up to you whether you want to do it directly from the contacts, or you want to do it via company, or you want to do it within the target account, in the ABM section. It's up to you, but you got to do that, right? Okay, once you do that, then you need to assign these people under the buyer, right? Okay, which role they've fallen under that particular campaign, under that particular account. Once you are done with that, then the next step will be to go ahead and create the role specific list. For example, I want to build a list of all the decision makers of all the accounts that I have selected. And I want to run an email. For example, I have got 18 accounts. I've got 18 accounts, and I have found for each account, okay, I have found different decision makers. I can go to those decision makers and I can assign those buyer roles. Okay, so for 18 accounts, maybe I have got 30 decision makers, 20 champions, 100 end users, and like so on. Correct? So I've got those contacts. Now the next step is I need to go ahead and segment those and create list. Right? So for example, I want all the decision makers for these 18 accounts, and I want to send them email and run ads specific to them, or send them an SMS or WhatsApp message, whatever is the mode of communication. If that's the goal, okay, so that's the next step. So to create a role specific list, that means you go ahead and create lists which are role specific, and these lists are what we call as the active list, not static list. Now, what is active list and what is static list? That's another topic altogether, but I'm going to explain you quickly what active list is and what static list is. So you got to go ahead and create list, active list based on buying role, and the buying role can be decision maker, and the company should be target account. And when I say company should be target account, that means the company target account value should be yes. If you remember what we talked about, talking about this target account should be true. Okay, so in my case there are 18 accounts which are true. That's why it is showing 18 accounts in my ABM dashboard. All right, so the company should be target account, and repeat it for all the other kind of roles. Okay, so that's the next step, which is to go ahead and create role specific list. I have already created some lists, so I'm just going to show you. For everybody who don't know how to create list, let me just give you a small steps here. You need to go to CRM, you need to go to your Hubspot, and then go to CRM, and you can go to list. This is where you can find the list. Okay, just click on list. List is a list of contacts that you can send email, run ads, send WhatsApp messages, whatever, right? So list is a very email marketing term used for a bunch of contacts. Okay. So you can imagine, like a Excel sheet or a spreadsheet is a list. All right. Okay. So I've already created some list here. So as you can see, all of these lists are active list. Okay. So if I just mark them as active, see all 9 lists are active. Okay. They are not static. What is the difference between static list and active list? Active list is active. But when you create a list, you put up a condition. For example, for everybody in my Hubspot CRM who is from USA should go to this particular list. Or everybody in my Hubspot CRM who is part of my target account and who is also a CEO or a decision maker should go into my target list. So every time a new contact is added or an existing contact is modified to fulfill that need, that condition, then automatically that contact will be added to this particular list. So the next time when you create a new contact in your HubSpot, a person who is in US, whose primary location is in US, automatically it will be added to a static list. Active list. But if you create a static list, you have to then manually add that contact to the static list. So that's the difference between active list and static list. Okay. Active list is active all the time. It is always looking. If there is a contact which meets the criteria, it will automatically pull that contact into its database. Okay, that's how it's a simple way of understanding it. So as you can see, I've already created a bunch of lists here. So all contact label based as influencers, all contact based as champion. Remember we had one champion, this person from Zurich. So this I marked him as champion. So as you can see, and if there are more contacts in future that will be marked as champion, it will be automatically added to this particular active list. It's a contact based list, it's an active list, and it has got one contact right now, but it can have a million contacts, and it's totally up to in your scenario. And then all contacts as an influencer, all contacts as champion, all contact as budget holder. So you can create as many lists as you want, but these are the standard ones provided by the HubSpot ABM default settings. All right. Okay. I hope this is now clear in terms of how to create those lists. So once you create this list, you keep adding more and more people in the particular list, right? For example, you want to create an email marketing campaign to all the contacts for those 18 companies who are decision makers. So right now it is only one, but in reality it will be like 50 or 100 or whatever. So there is a list of 100 people who are decision makers, and you want to create a very targeted email campaign and also an ad campaign, LinkedIn ad campaign. You can do that. But how you can do that is the question, right? So I want to show you how you can do that as a next step. So once you create a role-based specific list, okay, based on buying role, decision makers and company and target account and so on. Then as a next step number 3, you need to create role-based workflows. So the workflow will basically run and do those jobs for you. Okay, so you need to create an automation workflow, and you need to create a contact-based workflow. Okay, and the trigger should be enroll into this particular workflow when the contact is a member of a relevant role-specific list. Okay, the goal can be something like send a personalized email to a CFO. Send a very personalized case study to CFO, and CFO can be decision makers in your case. And you need to send a very specific case study to all the CEOs. And then, wait for 2 to 4 days and, check the behavior, whether they open the email, they check the ad, they open the ads, all of that. And, and then notify the sales via Slack or other notification if the contact does any action, right? If they download case study or do something else. And the goal can be requested a demo. So you can put your meeting calendar link in the email, and if they click on that, then it meets the goal of request a demo or contacted sales. So, so all this is part of workflow. Workflow has a trigger, workflow has an action, and workflow also can have a goal. Can have a goal. It may not already always have a goal, but it can have a goal. Okay. So you can create this. How you can create this? Pretty simple. If you know how to create workflow, you will know how to do that. So in order to create a workflow, you need to go to automation under this, and this will only work as I said if you are having a Marketing Hub Professional Pro plan. If you are having a Marketing Hub Starter plan, most of the features in the workflow will not work. So if you are in the starter plan, possibly this whole thing will not work for you. So you need at least a Sales Hub Professional Pro plan for this to work out. Okay, I don't have a Pro plan on this particular Hubspot instance, unfortunately, so I will not be able to show you a lot, but I can actually show you the first steps. Sorry. So let's create a workflow from scratch. Okay. So this is how a typical workflow looks like. You need to rename the workflow based on whatever your convenience is. And you need to, the first thing is, of course, the trigger. Correct? Whether the trigger is a manual trigger or meet a certain criteria. So manual trigger, that means you manually trigger that particular workflow. You go and run, execute, press the run button, and then it executes. That's a manual trigger. Meet a certain criteria means, if a certain criteria is fulfilled, the workflow will trigger and it will do the job. Okay. So in this case, check this one. We meet a certain criteria. We can also use a on schedule. For example, you want to send a newsletter every week once, then on schedule works very well, right? So in this case, choose the middle one, which is meet a criteria. Choose contact based. Okay, and then select the list membership. So all contact associated with target accounts, all contact labeled as budget holder. Okay, or all contact labeled as decision maker. Make sense? So for example, I want to create a targeted ABM, account based marketing, for all contact labeled as decision makers, and it should be the member of that particular list. All right. So all the decision makers now I'm targeting for my ABM campaign. Okay. So press next. You can add more criteria. It can be it's up to you. You can have multiple. You don't need to just have one particular criteria. You can have multiple criteria. For example, all the contact who is labeled as decision maker and they reside in US. Their location is in US. That's another criteria. It's up to you how. So you need to be designing the workflow first in terms of planning, and then you need to go ahead and execute it, right? Then the next step is, so the list member is done. Okay. Allow contact to re-enroll after completing the workflow. For example, you send an email, the workflow is complete. You show them an ad, the workflow is complete, right? Allow the contact to re-enroll if the complete after the completion of the workflow. But in future, if I want to run another workflow, another campaign, then if you mark it as yes, then this person will come back again in this particular workflow. All right, if it meets the criteria. For example, we run the campaign if the person meets the criteria, and then we remove it from the account based marketing. Okay, but the next time when it comes back into the account based marketing, then it will not, if you don't mark this re-enroll yes, then the workflow will not trigger for that particular person for the second time. Okay, but if you mark it as yes, then if the second time the person comes back into under the same criteria, it will trigger again, and that person will receive the same email, possibly see the same SMS and ads and like so. right? So it's up to you how you want to do that. So as you can see, the list membership is a member of all contact labeled as decision makers. I want to just mark this as no for the time being, and I'll just save and continue. Okay, so now that I've set up the trigger, okay, now you can go ahead and create a workflow. So you can just go ahead and edit, okay, and add. For example, if you are using Breeze Intelligence, it's a very new feature. You can enrich the data. For example, this is very similar to what Clay does, or if you're using Zoom Info and all, if you have a direct integration, you can do that as well. But Hubspot recently acquired Clearbit, and with that, I think they have launched this particular AI Breeze Intelligence. So, for example, if you want to say, hey, enrich my contact with all the other details, for example, where the company enrich my contact with LinkedIn profile data, all right, which school that person went and what degrees and certification that person has, and whatever the enrichment is. If you want to do that enrichment, you can call up Breeze Intelligence and you can enrich the data. But of course, you have to pay separately as credit for Breeze Intelligence. This session is not about Breeze Intelligence. Possibly I'll create another webinar. So we are going to skip this part, but we are going to stick to communication, right? So under the communication, you can send an email, send in-app notifications, send, simple. You can just send an email to this particular person, or you can update the CRM contact, right? Internally for internal use, and you can do some marketing. So that means add this particular contact to add audience. That means when the workflow will trigger, it will send this particular email, okay, and then it will also add this particular contact to add audience. Say, for example, LinkedIn ad audience or Google ad audience. Say LinkedIn ad audience. This contact will be added to LinkedIn ad audience, and that data will be pushed to LinkedIn ad account. And after some time, that particular contact will start seeing ads from your side as well. So that person has seen your email, received an email, and also see an ad. And you can also, possibly do some more funky stuff. For example, send them an SMS or WhatsApp or whatever. Okay, all of that integration is there. You have to do the integration, obviously. And then you will be able to send WhatsApp and SMSs. So basically, you can do multi-channel communication. Okay, so the communication can be multi-channel. So you can just go ahead and add it. I have created separate sessions on how to create workflows. So if you want to know more about how to create workflows, you can check out those sessions. This session is not about how to create workflow, but I've given you some steps on how to run, say, an email campaign as well as ad campaign together, super targeted, super niche. Okay. So then once it is done, just activate this workflow, and every time a contact is enrolled into that particular workflow. For example, you added a new contact in that particular account-based marketing dashboard, and it is already enrolled in that workflow. The email will be, for example, they are a CFO, decision maker. They will receive an email with a hard copy, with a soft copy of a ebook, and also they will see an ad in LinkedIn to download that particular ebook as part of that. Okay, all right. So now that we have discussed all of that, I'm going to quickly talk a little bit about ads. We have already talked about ad integration, so I'm not going to go through that again. It's in part one of this webinar series. So you can, just do that. Let me just show you how it looks like if you're just join this webinar right now. So this is how it's going to look like. Okay. So when you push that contact through the workflow, it is generally added to this particular audiences, right? So there is an ad going on which I have paused right now. This is just for dummy purpose, but I think you got the point. It will be added to the audiences, and then this particular ad campaign will start running. Now, what kind of ad really works well? Is the question, especially for LinkedIn, right? So if I go into the ad design, and the ad creatives, I can give you some examples for ad designs and ad creatives as well. Okay, but the idea is to have budget ad strategy and performance, monitoring. So we have seen how to assign buying role based on decision makers and influencers and other stuff. The best kind of ads for ABM is the lead based ads. For example, white papers, case studies, webinars. These are the best kind of content that works really well when it comes to ABM based campaigns on LinkedIn and Twitter. Okay. So the messaging should be focused on cost savings, efficiency improvements, and like so on. Okay. Use carousel, single image ads, simple ads. And thought leadership content also works very well. Okay. So I have taken some example of that, which I can show. So launch 3 to 5 ads initially per role and rotate every 4 to 6 weeks. So 3 to 5 ads you can create separately for each audiences based on the role and then rotate it every 4 to 6 weeks. So that means they will not get fatigue of seeing the same exact ad over and over again for months at a time, right? I sometimes see the same exact ad for multiple days and I get annoyed, by certain companies. So, just make sure that you keep that. And frequency should be 12 to 15 month, 12 to 15 per month. I'm sorry. Okay, that means don't show them too many. Okay, and allocate 60 to 70% of the budget here for high value accounts. Okay, and use premium formats like video and carousel for high personalization. Okay, and the mid party 20 to 30% of the budget, and the broader retargeting should be done for 10 to 20% of the budget. Okay, I'm going to put the link of this document for everybody who is interested in with some best practices, and I'm going to talk more on that on the coming days as well. All right. So just monitor the cost per lead, CTR, engagement from each tier and see how your ads are performing. Okay. Now, these are some examples of the ad that I have made that works really well. For example, this one is a Google ad. I really liked it. Tuesday is better than Apollo. It's straightforward. Perfect. It's to the point. These are all LinkedIn ads that I really like. So I just took some screenshots and I have put up because I get this query all the time. Hey, what kind of ads we should run on LinkedIn when it comes to ABM and customer match and targeted personalized ads? So these ads are super good, and these are ABM based ads. So this is a simple ad which gives a testimony around this particular company. And by the way, I have no affiliation with these companies, by the way. Okay, I have no connection or affiliation with TaskRocket or Tuesday or any of these companies. It's just for the learning purpose. I'm using their ads. Other than that, I have no affiliation with them. Okay, and this is purely for educational purpose and nothing else. Right. So this is a testimonial based. This is comparison, right? Old way, new way. Very good, works very well. And these are, as you can see, these are simple carousel and image based ads. Nothing fancy. Then other one, how to save more money, right? Another comparison, but the idea is to save. Then spend less, again save. As you can see, save is a very important criteria here. Simple ads here. Okay, and then this one is again comparison. Okay, without this particular company, with this particular company, how things look like. And then this is again a testimonial based ads. And this is an example of an email, right? So very good example of an email, which I just copy pasted. I got it from Tela. I'm using Tela, by the way. So good tool. It's a replacement for Loom. It's a little cheaper than Loom. It's not that cheap, but it's, certainly cheaper than Loom, and it works really well. I got this email. Okay, and I really love this email. With Tela, you can do blah blah blah. Unlike Loom, Tela can do blah blah blah. It's super good. So these are just simple examples of how you can run emails and ads. The examples can be many. There is no real scope of it in terms of, but I will keep talking more and more in the coming days to help you out to run your own account-based marketing campaign. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for this one. If you are running account-based marketing, I know there are more questions than answers. I hope that this sessions are helpful, and I'm going to continue making more of these webinars. This was part of the